Welcome to Comtrack, where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. I'm your host, Tim Leifheit, and we are continuing our Star Wars month with the Disney anthology movies, and since we did Solo last time, we are doing Rogue One, which is definitely one of the better of the anthology movies. And joining me here today is one of my personal friends and a Star Wars expert himself, Nathan Ball. Say hi, Nathan.
How's it going, everybody?
Hee. Oh, it's been so long. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Nathan, and then we'll get started right into this movie.
Would you like my qualifications as a Star Wars nerd? I think that might be the way
please,
to start off.
because I want to. I'm sure everyone wants to make sure that you are totally about the. Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start. I started young. Obviously, with everybody else, the same way we started with episode 4, 5, and 6. I fell in love with the world of Star Wars. Just the possibilities therein. I have most of the Legends books, if not all of them. I don't think all of them quite yet. I have to check.
Yeah, you're really, really well versed in the expanded universe.
Yeah,
what was
not so
known
many.
As.
Not so well with the newer books, I have to say, unfortunately. And I heard they were really good, so I do need to catch up on that. Aside from that,
yeah.
I have all of the movies. I have a different version of this one, which I couldn't find, and I couldn't rent it. So you can thank Tim Leifheit for
providing a copy.
Yeah, providing me
because I'm cool like that.
Pretty much. And then other than that, I think my biggest...
Nathan has actually...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Nathan is joining us from all the way from Denver, Colorado.
Yes, I am.
So
I forgot that thing.
This is going to be a really interesting one, but please continue.
I think my biggest claim to knowing what I'm talking about is I wrote my senior thesis as an English major on the philosophy of Star Wars and, more importantly, the importance of the dark side. And that was probably my favorite paper I've ever written in my entire life, ever.
No, who am I to talk?
It was so much fun.
I'm the one who dressed up as... I'm the one who dressed up as Darth Vader, not only to Star Wars Celebration, but at the opening night premiere of The Last Jedi at my local theater. And you were there with me.
I was. And what was I dressed as, Tim?
You were a Sith Lord from the Old Republic. I believe it was your own character?
It is, yes. Tim and I had been dabbling in writing scripts and comics and things like that. One of my favorite characters that came out of it was a Darth Raktos, which, without getting into that, was just a very fun, very utilitarian style Sith Lord, and it was a great time. Great time talking about it.
Hopefully, for the opening of Rise of Skywalker, you and I can hit the theater once again.
Oh God, that'd be wonderful.
That was a really memorable night.
That was super.
But enough about it was. But enough about those movies. Let's talk about the movie we're here to watch tonight, Rogue One. So, I actually remember watching this is one of the few movies I did not see opening day on the theater. Although Solo doesn't really count because I think it's safe to say most of us looked at Solo and the previews and whatnot, and we're like, we're not gonna go. We'll see this in the theater, but not opening day or night or whatnot. But Rogue One, I saw much later on in the theater, and I thought it was really cool. And then I found out you had not seen, so I yanked your ass what you were doing whatever that day, sat your ass down, and I said, watch this because, oh my God, there are amazing things in it.
Yeah, the first time I watched that was with you, and I remember I hadn't had any spoilers because I pride myself in my ability to dodge spoilers because I'm poor and I can't usually see things right away. But I had not seen anything about Rogue One, and I gotta be honest, I really wasn't excited for it because I thought this was just more of a throwaway film that they were just making for money, which I guess maybe technically the point of a business, but I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
Same.
Actually.
The biggest compliment that I can give this movie is that it feels like Star Wars Battlefront the movie.
Yeah, that'd be very fair to say, I think.
Yeah. And since for everyone out there who like knows me personally, Star Wars Battlefront took up more time of my gaming than any other game that I've ever played ever.
Now, are you talking, what Star Wars Battlefront are you talking? Because
I'm talking about the old school
boy.
PlayStation 2.
That a boy. See, my favorite was Old Republic 2 with the clone troopers on the front. That was, I still have that for original Xbox. And I busted out every once in a while.
I still have Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 on my PlayStation 2. I'll whip that out every once in a while, and it's still just as fun as it was as a kid. Like, the replayability on that thing anyway. But the thing about Rogue One is that, watching that, it just felt like, you know, you were watching the campaign of, like, the greatest Star Wars Battlefront game. Like, it felt like the cutscene to what should have been the new Star Wars Battlefront games.
Well, I also like it because they made all these worlds that made the movie feel like it was all its own. It was its own standalone thing, but the worlds could be disposable, and they didn't need to matter later on, but they could have mattered in the story itself. And I think that was a very careful line that they treaded, and it worked out wonderfully, because I love each and every place that they took us, even though I know I'll never see it again, you know? And I think that was brilliantly done. Yeah. I mean, as a matter of fact, I even mentioned this on the last podcast. Watching Solo, even though I didn't really care for the film at all, I can say that it still holds up with Rogue One in terms of its production design and look. Yeah. Like, you look around at the movie and you're like, wow, I really want to walk around in these sets. Like, that's just what you want to do all day long, is just walk around in these sets, which is why I'm also really excited for Galaxy's Edge and Disney World. No. I'm super excited about that. I've got a friend. Hopefully, like, either next year or a couple years down, I'm so, like, just going to slap my money on the counter to get into that, because I've been hearing amazing things about it. Yeah, well, I think the problem with Star Wars that you and I usually get into is just a rabbit hole, just in general. We can't talk about one thing in Star Wars without talking about all of it, and I think that's probably going to be a problem we're going to have to tail ourselves with doing this. No kidding, because, like, well, I mean, I don't mind if we detract or anything. It's just, although there is one thing that I've realized about this thing, because couple people are like, oh, well, since you're doing a Star Wars month, why don't you do some of the original trilogy? I'm never going to do any of the original trilogy, A, because they've been talked to death, but more importantly, B, for the format of the show, there are a bazillion different versions of just episode 4. Yeah. Oh, and God. And unless you have the exact same copy that we would watch, that it's not going to match up. Yeah. And I'm not ever going to watch the Blu-ray. Like, the Blu-ray cuts, awful. As Star Wars fans, we're like, no, fuck the Blu-rays. Unfortunately, that's the one that I have, too. It was just an easy grab, and I hadn't had a new copy yet that I hadn't either lost or destroyed over the years. So, unfortunately, that's what I've still got my VHSs. Yeah. They're somewhere. I don't know anymore. Do you still have your VHSs? Somewhere, yeah. I also have the Star Wars Monopoly game from, I believe, 1982. Unopened. I think it's in my grandpa's attic. Yeah. Oh, dude, you should sell that shit on eBay. Are you out of your mind? I'm not selling that. That is my treasure, sir. You're gonna have to pry that out from my grave. No, dude, like, that's okay. I respect that. Although I still think it would be kind of fun to be like, hey, it's actually worth this much. I'm so curious. I am so curious. That's for damn sure. Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about the movie before we get started. No, actually, I think we've covered at least a little bit of our expectations of what they were, and this being the shining gem outside of the trilogy and series itself. Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah. I say we start rolling the movie. So for those of you back home, pull up your copy of Rogue One and get ready to sync it up, because we are ready to press play in 3, 2, 1. And there it is, the Lucasfilm logo.
I still really do love that the new revamped logo.
It,
So
it
jumping
takes
into a long time
very
ago.
takes a very classic script and just it makes it pop.
Yeah. So like one notable thing about Rogue One here, as you can see, no opening crawl. It just jumps right in. How do you feel about that? Like, because I know a lot of people are like, come on, is it too much to ask for the crawl? Here, I'm like, you know what? Because it's technically not one of the episodes, like, it's not part of the saga, as you would, I'm okay with it.
Well, I think it's because everybody expected it, and well, expected it in a way that I didn't know what to think without it, and it was such a shock not to see it and not to figure out what I was getting into. I almost felt blind a little bit.
Honestly, it felt a little weird to start a Star Wars movie and not hear the 20th Century Fox logo.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever. So now we're on this planet here. I love the location here because this is straight out of Kurosawa. Because I love the black sand. Like, I don't know I don't know how much of a history buff you are, but the black sands are kind of based off of Iwo Jima. Yeah.
Okay.
And I really love the alien kind of look to it. So now we got a first introduction to little Jyn Erso walking around and packing up their shit because the Empire is going to fuck up everything. And here's probably one of my favorite bits: blue milk. It's not officially Star Wars until we've seen our blue milk, is it? But yeah, now we got Saul Guerrera, who's part of the rebel extremists. That's the other thing I'm really loving about these movies, on how they're like really expanding on the politics of it, and yet they're also surprisingly vague with these. They're expanding the politics with the old ones, but they're making the new movies, like specifically the First Order, very vague.
Well,
like,
I think
where did the First Order come from?
The major point when you're talking about Star Wars as a whole, light side, dark side, really philosophically, allow me to dive into my paper, is that
Please.
Nothing is black and white, and Star Wars as a whole, and I think this movie as well, really dived into how you could take a very simple concept of obviously evil, obviously good, and just throw them together, and you get the real world of what happens when you mix those two ideals. Because, no one ever thinks that they're the villain.
That's always very true. Like, it's that sort of thing. And then this I thought was really cool. The whole Kyber crystal necklace. Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I really love how they bring like the old conceptual stuff and they kind of work it in other ways. But yeah, and again, I really love this location. Again, this feels like if this was in black and white and all the characters weren't whitewashed and they were all Asian, this would authentically feel like a science fiction Kurosawa film.
Ooh.
It's like also, can we also talk about the brand new stormtroopers?
Yeah.
The fucking black troopers.
Blacked out and just looking competent.
I also love how their voices get scrambled when they talk, so the enemy can't hear what they're saying. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
And also I really dig Director Krennic's uniform as well.
Well, I like it because it stands out so aggressively,
and yet it still feels aesthetically fitting to the world that it's in. And let's be honest, when he rocks the cape, that cape is awesome.
Capes are hard to rock.
Yes, they are, and
it's a tricky thing.
Yeah, and but Ben Mendelsohn here, the actor, God, he's just kind of exploded onto the scene like in the last couple of years as like a really great villain character actor. Like he's done this, he's done Ready Player One.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, he was in.
Yeah.
He was in Ready Player One. He was also in.
Oh God, look at that armor, dude.
Right. And believe it or not, the 501st already have all the new armor ready for them to wear. Like. At Celebration, there were tons of these guys running around. It was awesome. What was I gonna say? Shit, I lost my train of thought. Whatever. Like shit's about to happen with with the parents. Like, I don't care if this is a little bit cliched, you know, the whole dead parents thing, and while the kid watches to swear revenge and whatnot. But I'll go with it. It's a stupid space opera, you know.
You know, cliches exist for a reason. You
Yeah.
know, it's simple.
So long as they're done well, you know.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, I was talking about Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah, he's kind of become like a really great character villain actor. Like he was also in Dark Knight Rises. He was also, you don't recognize him at all because he's in heavy makeup, but he was also one of the aliens and the main alien in Captain Marvel this year. So
I
yeah,
do not
like this.
recognize him at all.
Well, see, like when he changes to his human, quote unquote human form, Ben Mendelsohn actually gets to, you know, act without like all that makeup and whatnot, but it's still him under all of that anyway. But yeah, Ben Mendelsohn's just like really, really blown up and like all these really great villain bit parts, which is kind of awesome. I'm excited to see what he does from here, because as actually for the longest time, I wasn't excited for him to be in Ready Player One. I love the action figure there. Like I love how there are action figures within this universe. You know, it's really good.
I love how it's a trooper.
Yeah, right.
Like look at that propaganda just subtly thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense because, you know, her dad was the chief engineer for the Death Star.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. But that's a detail that you didn't need. That
Mm-hmm.
adds a lot of depth to it. That was a nice touch.
And when Star Wars at its finest is really good about those details. Like one of my absolute all-time favorite details that they technically didn't need was in Return of the Jedi when the Rancor dies, and then all of a sudden you see his handler and start tearing up and crying because his pet's dead. Like, dude, you don't need that moment, but that makes that world so much richer and deeper and more interesting. So now we have Saul Guerrero rescuing little Jin, and apparently that was his bald haircut that you see him there. It was actually supposed to be maintained throughout the entire movie, but they gave him, like, you know, more hair and whatnot because title drop. I like the title drop here. It's Star Warsy, it's simple, and it just kind of is there and serves its job and then fucks off.
But it also does it in a different spot than I think any other movie.
Yeah, like it has like a straight up cold opening.
Yeah,
which honestly I like that because I love how that was handled a lot better than Solo. Because with Solo they had, you know, the long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but then they continue that font and they give you a diet crawl, like where they have text giving you background fade in and out, and then the story starts. Which I just didn't feel like that helped. Whereas, you know, when you have like a cold opening, the everything you need to know that's told in these opening crawls, that cold opening tells you everything you know, and then you just give you the title, and then boom, you jump into the movie.
Yeah.
So feels a lot more structurally sound.
Well, you know, you don't necessarily know this at the time of the movie starts, but if you watch it the first time, but I don't think anybody really realized exactly how close to episode 4 this was filmed. So
Yeah.
you assume that you assume that you know already it would be the same crawl as episode 4. Technically, it's just a different part of the universe.
Mm-hmm. But either way, I love these sets and the costumes. Just anytime Disney has some really great production sense and production designers, because anytime I see some of this stuff, I'm like, oh, dude, this feels like the world's best theme park attraction, and I mean that in the best compliment that I can. Like, it just feels like a film set in the best way possible. So now we have actually, I believe this is the first major Latino character in the Star Wars universe by an actor, if I remember correctly.
Major character? Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah. So, it's actually to the point where I thought, Oh, maybe it would be actually kind of cool if I ever wind up joining the Rebel Legion or the 501st or whatnot, I can do a cosplay of this guy. It'd be actually kind of fun.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, although I still am kind of debating on just doing like a regular Rebel soldier. And speaking of which, right on cue, these motherfuckers are ready to fuck some shit up. And boom!
Oh, the Han Solo
Yeah,
rework
does that?
there, little spice there.
Yep, has to. Well, I mean, obviously he shoots first.
Oh,
Obviously,
he clearly shoots first.
shoots first.
I think that's
and last.
At this point, it's generally accepted. I do want to say something about the settings that you're talking about. I mean, look at how when you have those big crowd scenes, just the wide range of creatures there. Like they really captured a good view of this is just a melting pot slums city. This is what this would look like. That's version of downtown New York or Chicago or something like that. And they threw aliens in there, and not obviously. They're just there as they would be in a population. And I think that was very delicate thing to do because you could overload it so easily.
Yeah, it's true, and they also give like just enough of it with screen time. And speaking of creature designs, like these fucking squad mates, like this guy, I don't know who the hell he is, but such a dope ass design,
an intimidating design,
right?
Eyes,
and also,
man.
yeah, and I also love how they have like a pseudo like Wampa guy with just a backpack and a blaster, so just trotting around with him. But yeah, we have Rook the pilot who defected from the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So they're being taken to Saul Guerrero. Now this shot coming up where it's like you get to see the statue. This shot, that's so cool. Like the fucking fallen over Jedi sculpture. That's cool. Oh, and this the troop transport here at the Imperial Labor Camp. I love how it's exactly the same kind of model of the ATST tanks that were used in the Clone Wars. You can tell this is just like an old Clone Wars model that's revamped for prison transport.
Well, that was the point. I mean, Palpatine, as in he, built his entire strength off of the foundations of the Republic, and what that looks like in technicality is like anywhere else in reality. You would repurpose things to suit a new job, or I mean, it happens after every major war. It happens every time different countries come into different agreements. When something is usurped, you can't just start from scratch. That'd be ludicrous. You have to take the bones of what was there before and adapt it in a very small, certain way. And the slow evolution.
Boom.
Here.
Hi, K2.
Oh, God.
Probably my favorite character in this whole movie.
Congratulations.
I think if I remember correctly, John Knoll, who wrote the screenplay, he described K2SO as C-3PO but with bigger balls.
I can see that.
And of course, now we're going to Yavin 4. Now this is one of my favorite locations in the movie. Like, dude, this honestly feels like the like right here where we see the old school monitors from the 70s. That is one of the coolest thing I've seen in these movies. Just like how it feels exactly like you could literally watch episode 4 and be like, yeah, totally, they use the same set.
Is it cool that the older these movies get, or the older they make these movies look, it just shows more and more how the rebellion was just kind of scraping things together, because it didn't look like this in the 70s, but now it looks like old tech. It looks like tech that they found.
Oh, it's Mon Mothma. Dude, hands down to their casting director, because I forget exactly who this actress is, but she is the spitting image of Mon Mothma. Like she looked like she stepped right out of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I tell you, I was a little uncomfortable with that. I was like,
No.
you're not supposed to look like that. You're supposed to be old.
Well, to be fair, I mean, that's not the only person who makes like a reappearance. At least that actress's face is 100% natural, unlike, Governor Tarkin.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was
yeah.
awful. We're not there yet, but still.
Honestly, yeah, you're right. We'll talk about it as soon as that scene comes up, but
Right.
At least for now, like Mon Mothma here just is like, wow, the casting on that is beautiful. So now we can see that Jyn Erso has been captured by the rebels because she's like, oh, your dad worked on the Death Star. That's the main threat of the entire galaxy. We have questions. Oh, and I really, oh yeah, and then this is another thing. Like, I really love how they're really trying to distance himself from Saul Guerrera because he's the extremist, whereas the Alliance just wants order. I don't know. I really like that's a nice little bit of more world building. Although I'm really disappointed to where Saul Guerrera's character just goes, like how it ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about that.
But his character
like he's
was
a
there
cool.
to serve a purpose, though, and not just visually, but kind of foreshadowing wise.
Yeah.
Once the character serves his job, whatever.
I still say he could have still like escaped in a separate ship or whatnot, because he could have made like it would have been actually cool to see. Or no, wait, did he make an appearance in Star Wars Rebels, the animated show? Because I've only seen bits and pieces.
That's the one I'm least familiar with.
Yeah, I've only seen bits and pieces of Star Wars Rebels, and Bail Organa stepping in frame, Jimmy. Oh, that was cool. Yeah. What's his God? Crap. I forget the actor's name off the top of my head, but he actually came back from episode 3, which was really, really cool.
And it would be an appropriate time gap too. So
yeah, no, like it totally works. Like
that worked out.
They don't really need to age him up a bit at all. So now they're gonna loading up, and again, like the best thing that I can say about these is everything honestly feels like the prop and art department just went out to like vintage hardware stores and picked up just a bunch of 70s junk and cobbled it together, because that's exactly what they did.
What you're saying is they're just simply walking in the same old steps and doing it old school.
Yep, and it shows. Like all of this stuff feels like it's made from junk from the 70s, and that's the greatest compliment you can get. But also, can we talk about how awesome K2SO is in this movie? It's actually kind of shocking. It's just really shocking. I mean, I guess it's not so shocking that he's probably got more personality than any of the other human characters. But
more personality and lack thereof is interesting.
Yeah, but I think it really helps that he's played by graduate of Juilliard, Alan Tudyk.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yes. Alan Tudyk did all the mocap on set, and he provides the voice. So it's 100% his performance.
That's just cool.
Yeah, so I honestly think because it's Alan Tudyk's like sense of charm that gives him K2SO's such memorability, turning in such a memorable performance, rather. So that's at least my thing. It's just Alan Tudyk is so cool that he can make probably the character with the least amount of like actual personality the most memorable character in the movie.
God, look at the details that they put in just rendering it's him in high CGI. Yeah, the optic lenses are moving individually like they would actual eyeballs. I mean, oh my god.
Yeah, I love the optical eyeballs and whatnot. That's a really cool touch and gives it a really good sense of life. Mm-hmm. But again, I just love how he always bickers with Cassian just constantly like, you do know he's going to use that. She's going to use that blaster against you. You want to know the odds? It's high. It's very, very high. But yeah, seeing Yavin 4 on the screen again was a really pleasant surprise. I'm not gonna lie.
I can only imagine what that sounded like in the theaters.
No, like, well, because like there's like I mean, obviously we can't hear because we watch movies on subtitles because we don't want Disney to be like, give us money. But when Yavin 4 appears, there's like a huge crescendo in the music and whatnot, and I knew, like, if I was there like opening night, I'm pretty sure the entire crowd would have just went fucking ape shit. But yeah, now we have Rook the pilot meeting meeting Saul Guerrera, and I really love just how he's like a total cyborg and whatnot who does not give any fucks.
I believe that's awesome. God,
yeah, right.
He looks cool. Just
he does.
Salty and angry and not caring. But
oh, you know, now that I think about it, I'm a little disappointed that no one cosplayed him at Celebration. I think, you know, it's probably because of his mechanical leg.
Yeah, that'd be.
That's
tricky.
hard to pull off. Maybe if like there's like a black guy out there with as an amputee who's actually an amputee, maybe. But that's pretty niche. Also,
yeah.
when you listen closely when he takes a breath, it's the sound effect of Darth Vader breathing.
Yeah, well, wasn't it also he was made a lot like General Grievous as like a shadow of a Vader type, like what things could have been, the way that character type evolved.
Yeah, because George Lucas has always said that technology, and especially in accordance to like, you know, oh shit. I'm sorry. I need to. Let me get back to this, but because this shot is amazing, with the Star Destroyer coming out of the shadow, and then they're putting the super laser in. This is one of the coolest shots in the whole movie. No, what I was gonna, right. But what I was saying is, George Lucas is always described as like, you know, mechanical appendages is kind of a symbol of the loss of humanity. Mm-hmm. And so the more mechanical one is, the less human they are. And that's very fitting with Saul Guerrera. But enough about Saul Guerrera. You ready for this reveal, ladies and gentlemen? Boom. Tarkin. Yeah. So a lot of people were mixed about how well this was rendered and handled. To me, this is a failure, but it's a very important failure. Like, it's a failure in the right direction. We're getting there. They needed to do this experiment, if you will, right, in order to better refine it. Because there are some moments, like if you like pause it, it actually looks kind of amazing. But when he moves in certain ways, it's off-putting. And then when there's other parts where he's moving, it actually feels it's weird. Like, it goes in and out. Like, it goes from really convincing to not convincing at all.
What always gets me about CGI when you're trying to make CGI is the mouth movements don't line up the way real people speak. And that's the thing that I always catch. It doesn't have that same flick when you speak with your mouth. And
yeah,
like you would speak any other way. But still,
my guess is it's probably in the actual. I need to actually take a closer look at the behind the scenes, but because it's performance capture, like they put dots on the actor and whatnot, and they speak and perform the scene as if they were there, just like regularly. If I remember correctly, if you kind of because I know a lot of directors will say just punch it up a little bit, so that movement registers a little bit better in the computer. But it also might, so they push it a little too far so it looks unnatural, or it could be like they didn't push it enough and the animators, like doing all the tracking, have to add like a little extra, but it becomes at points a little too much extra, and therefore it looks wrong. It's walking a really, really thin line.
I always think of that scene in Captain America, and I believe it's the one where Peggy dies of old age. Civil
Yes.
War? Is that Civil War? No, no. That was
No,
Winter
it's Civil War.
Soldier.
It's Civil War. No,
Is
it's totally Civil War.
Okay. Well, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of.
No, wait, yeah, you're right. It's in Winter Soldier.
Well,
She's just straight up dies in Civil War.
right. The hospital scene. And
Yes,
the
I know what you're talking
CGI
about.
was amazingly done, but again, her mouth movements were just a bit off, and all of that's all I could focus on. And I always think of it too. And the same thing in this. Individually, I see what you're talking about. Tarkin looked phenomenal, but it just didn't work. And
Yeah. I feel like it's either, the actor is either overacting or is trying to compensate for the CG, and the animators are trying to compensate for the lack of information the actor gave them.
Mhm.
So it's kind of those two things are so small and niche that if they don't marry absolutely perfectly, then it's going to feel off. So I still give them props for getting that far. So again, it's not perfect at all. Like again, if it might be a failure, but it's a failure in the right direction, especially to where we are now. Because Disney's been getting really good at it recently with the Marvel movies, with the whole de-aging process. Although with Tarkin, it's a little bit different because they are literally putting a long dead actor's face on another actor, like mimicking him. So that's a whole bit. I think they just bit off a little more than they could chew, because it's easy to de-age someone who's playing themselves than have another actor portray someone who's been dead for a long time.
Right.
Yeah. And K2SO's just getting left behind.
But I think Tarkin was important because it was another nod as to where in the timeline we are. The one thing I do like about this movie as a whole, Jesus, wow, look at that.
Okay, let me stop you right there for a
God.
second, because after Force Awakens and this, I would kindly like to ask Disney to stop putting tentacle monsters in their Star Wars movies. Please stop it. I know you're probably trying to pander to the Japanese audience, but please stop it.
Oh, that giant thing in Solo, too.
This giant thing in Solo, Borgalet in this thing, and the Rathtars in Force Awakens. Thankfully, Last Jedi had enough sense to say, no giant squid monsters. Because, just stop it, Disney. That's the one thing that I'm not liking what you're really doing here.
But
Stop with the squid monsters. Yeah, go on, please.
Back to what I was saying. I really like how no one really knows exactly when this is between episode 3 and 4. There's just it's everybody knew it was a story of how they got the plans of the Death Star. That's pretty much all anybody knew before this movie came
cameo
out.
time. Cameo time.
And
yeah, it's the guys from the cantina. Actually, I really kind of like that moment looking back, because I'm like, oh, it's those guys from the cantina. And then, like, 2 seconds later, I realized, like, oh, I've just been pandered as a fan. Damn you, Disney, and playing on my cheap emotions.
He's gonna lose that hand in about a week and a half. So
yeah, enjoy it while he can.
but the neat thing about this movie in general is that it doesn't tell you where this is, but it gives you little hints and clues all the way up until the very last scene. And I thought that was so cool.
Towards the end, when you realize,
towards
the end when you realize that all of them are not gonna make it,
yeah, and
yeah, I like that.
You're just getting a little bit more and more dread as you go, and
yep, it's good. And and then here we get introduced to the not Jedi of the movie, but I'm just amazed that they kind of got Donnie Yen for this movie. Like, he is super big in Japan. He's like one of Hong Kong's like greatest action stars. It's ridiculous how they were able to get him in this. I honestly can't remember his character name, so I just call him Star Wars Toph. Because I mean, look at this guy, you know. And I also really love his buddy. Again, I can never remember those two characters' names. They're fucking cool, and I love that Donnie Yen is part of this whole Star Wars thing, and I love their character dynamic. But for the life of me, I can never remember their names.
Well, his character, if I may interject, his character is important because it explains subtly that you don't have to have the Force and be a Jedi or a Sith. That they do exist separately. Even if you were one before or knew one, the Force doesn't make you a Jedi. It doesn't make you a Sith. It's just there. Jedi and Sith use what's already there.
Now, that tank formation there, I was watching this movie and I'm like, oh shit. Like you see these guys talking and getting ready to attack, and I'm like, oh my god, this is the Star Wars version of Fallujah.
Yeah.
I love this setup. This is amazing. This is the kind of thing that I've been wanting to see in a Star Wars movie for the longest time. Like, this feels like a battle you would see in Mos Eisley, you know?
Well, it's also it shows the difference between rebels and grounded.
I love this little guy.
Forces. You know, you have guerrilla warfare, which wasn't really shown a whole lot in 4, 5, and 6 as like actual.
Oh, it was in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, but not very much. You're thinking of
dude.
Like
that's what the entire
the
Battle
Ewoks?
of Endor was.
Yeah, but that one you could talk about like Ewoks.
I love this little moment with this kid.
Yeah. This I think is the first time that we see a nitty gritty, guerrilla style sapper battle. And you're right, it was in the Return of the Jedi, but it still felt a little bit too regimented on both sides, especially after the battle got going. This is all how the rebels would have been.
Plus it still kind of kept to that kid-friendly adventure kind of vibe. This is a straight-up battle war.
Right.
Also, I love this moment. Pew! Just taking out stormtroopers left and right. Whole lot of dead stormtroopers in this movie. Also, I really love the tank in that thing. As a matter of fact, at Celebration, they built a full-size one that you can get into.
What? You son of a bitch.
It's so cool. But yeah, dude, the ATST just fucking in and blowing shit up. Like, dude, this honestly feels like a scene, like you're ready to just like pop in your controller and start shooting the crap out of stormtroopers in the version of Star Wars Battlefront that we should have gotten in the latest gen consoles. You know?
Yeah. Please don't remind me of those.
I know. It's the worst thing that came out of those new video games was that I played it for 3 hours and I got bored. That was bad. Oh yeah, and then this happens. Like, did you think that was me? Oh my god! Of course, and then just when K2 is being snarky and this shit happens. He just catches it, and then boom! I should have just waited on the ship.
And I think it's funny, especially because they were trying so hard and looking so badass, and he did the same thing in 3 moves.
Yep. And of course, this shit happens. Now, this is actually a really wonderful moment where K2 just tries to improvise. But one of my favorite bits is right here. It's coming up, where Cassian he tries to mouth off and K2 just smacks him.
Yeah.
That was not scripted. Alan Tudyk totally just improvised that. And if you look, the guy who plays Cassian, he's actually trying to hide a smile because he's like, "Oh shit, I did not expect you to do that, Alan." So yeah, that was a really nice little touch. And of course, now we got fucking Toph coming out. And you know, it's really sad. If only this guy could do some Jedi mind tricks, just like you want to fuck off. But you know what I will say about this movie? I love the scene because let's face it, right here is when the Star Wars franchise set up the stormtroopers' weakness to being beaten to death by sticks.
What
you know,
badass. What a badass.
I know this choreography is so cool. Although to be fair, I'm pretty sure this one guy could take on actual guys dressed as stormtroopers.
Also fair.
Yeah, because if any of anyone who like members of the 501st or whatnot who've actually run around in those armor pieces, you cannot see or do shit, and you are likely to get your ass handed to you. And I love this little bit moment here. You almost shot me. Pow!
Ooh, in the face.
In the face.
If I may, I think the majority of what
Hostile.
I'll be commenting on is kind of the world that it exists in, because that's my area of expertise as it is. And so moving forward with that, I like the subtle things that they're doing here with this character as the wise old maybe Jedi sage.
Yeah.
How they use this character to explain really particularly how the Force works within Force sensitives. It's not...
Yes.
It's not where the Force just tells you this or that. It's you trusting in your own ability, because you very clearly saw him. They showed it very well that he paid attention to every sound. He paid attention to the way vibrations moved, and he trusted the Force in trusting his own senses, and that was really important.
Yeah. Although, are you kidding me? I'm blind. I love that. I love that. No. Yeah, totally. Like, I love the fact that one of the best things about Disney taking back Star Wars is that they're kind of like trying to move away from the midichlorians and be like, the Force isn't about what's in your bloodstream. It's supposed to be this vague description of religion's greatest hits that's tied to your sense of faith and spirituality and whatnot.
And
like, they're really trying to push back that.
You think they're not researching the legends when they're writing this stuff? Please.
No, they're totally like, stealing the best of bits and pieces of it to make it better. So, I have no quarrels with that whatsoever. I'm good with that.
You can't steal from your own property rights.
Oh, right. Exactly.
So,
it's technically not stealing if it's still Star Wars.
That's true.
And then this little bit right here, I love this. Like, the gambling game, which is really cool, and of course, the dancing girl thing where
more fan pandering, and yes. I fell for it.
Yep, totally. Although like, it's too bad this movie didn't finally give us the what, I forget how to pronounce it, but it's like the Jark chessboard game.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I feel like
I'd butcher that too, so don't feel bad.
But however, because of Solo, the one thing great thing that came out of that, Disney did release a Sabacc card game that you can actually play.
Shut up.
So, oh yeah, no, dude, totally. Yeah, if you want to, next time you're over in Cincinnati, we'll kick back Lando Calrissian Han Solo style and play some Sabacc.
I need you to understand that I'm going to dedicate a large amount of time into whooping your ass in that game.
Well, at least I'll be. First off, I will play fair, and second, I will not bet my truck.
I can't promise to either of those. So, second, Tim. Dark side, all the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, then I guess I'll just have to beat your ass fair and square. Yeah, just like Han Solo. But yeah, no. Now we get now Jyn Erso gets to be questioned by Saul Guerrero himself, because those two. I wish we had had a little bit more time to develop these two characters' relationship with one another, because they had that one little tidbit at the beginning and then this, and that's it. You know, I wish there was a little bit more. But I guess with this like exchange, like, you know, we were once friends and whatnot, and I was trying to keep you safe and all that stuff. Like, I think, you know, the dialogue and the actors flesh it out just enough to keep the plot moving. You know. Yeah.
Two sides to every coin, right?
Yeah, always. Although there is this one really great line coming up, where what Jin thinks of the galaxy and the Imperial reign, so to speak. Because I remember your reaction when we first watched it. I'm like, that's a really good line, and I'm like totally agreeing.
Yeah, here comes.
The pilot. No, they're just kind of talking about.
They're just bantering. I'm
yep,
getting
for
ahead
now.
of myself.
Although to be fair, yeah, again, I still love that breathing device, because I'm pretty sure that's like straight up a piece of that. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's the same pieces that they use to make the rebreather devices on the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, which again, another really great piece of designing. I just wish one day that someone does do like a really good cosplay of this guy, because his costume is so cool.
And it looks to the part. It looks to the part. It looks thrown together with what he had. Clearly the rebel forces are not well funded. They're just, farmers with pitchforks version of this. And I think that's really well done.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Rebel Alliance to me has always been kind of scrappy, at least until you saw the full fleet in Return of the Jedi. Then you're like, oh, these guys are a little bit more organized than you come to recollect. But that's more, I think. This line right here: "You dare to see the Imperial flag reign across the galaxy? Not a problem if you don't look up." That's a great line. But yeah, the Rebel Alliance has always been kind of scrappy until you saw the full fleet at Force. Oh shit! Right here, this shot. That's straight out of 2001, son. And I love it. I love what they're doing there. But yeah, they've always been kind of scrappy. But I still suspect that we got to see the full force of the Rebel Alliance for Return of the Jedi because, George Lucas actually had the budget that time around. Because the whole reason why you don't see a whole lot in the first movie is like, dude, they were literally running out of money. The first Star Wars movie is a really cheap piece of movie.
Oh yeah, it is.
Movie only cost $11 million. Like, that's super super cheap back in the day.
It looks like it made a good return. Insert really shitty pun here.
Fuck yourself.
Thanks. Thanks
but yeah, again, I love the video setup with this, dude. All the beep boop boop. Also, I really love how the fact that the jail cells definitely feels like it's it feels like it's Jabba the Hutt's.
Like around Tatooine.
Yes. And I mean, Jedda's already kind of a desert planet, so it kind of works. There's a lot of desert planets in the Star Wars universe.
There's a lot of desert planets in the real universe, so there.
Fair point. I'm just saying, like, out of all the monotopographical planets in the Star Wars galaxy, most of them seem to be desert based. We have Korriban, Geonosis, Tatooine, Jeddah, and Jakku.
Well, this is interesting. Think about why, though. All of the Earth-like planets are probably really expensive to live on.
Yeah. Or they're untouched, like Endor.
Well, so for the most part, all of these other planets, or the quote-unquote slums, are often a lot more poor, right? They have, like, one trade. Like Tatooine, they sell water almost exclusively. That's vapor farms is a big thing. So you have this class division that's more obviously thrown at your face. Look at that patch. That's a cool patch.
Yes. Again, the costume designs are just... I love how they're so new and yet they feel so old. And I also love the fact that they really try hard to make like the world's best updated version of a shot-for-shot remake of the Death Star firing up. Like anytime they pull back, it's like, dude, this feels like the world's greatest fan recreation of those old shots.
Is that not what they all are now?
That's pretty. Yeah, I mean, you could argue that all the Disney Star Wars films are just just really expensive fan films, but I'm okay.
Be careful, you tread hard waters there, sir.
And well, I mean, you can make the argument. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't want to take it too far, but you can argue that. I can see where that would go. I wouldn't necessarily believe it completely. Here, I kind of probably would, because this came out before Solo, and it was before like it was the first outside of the saga. This did feel like the world's biggest budget Star Wars fan film, but that in a good way, not in like a bad way.
Right.
Also, I love how this whole sequence here, like this whole revelation to Jyn Erso and his father, and her father, it's basically the entire point of this movie to fill in the plot hole of how easy it was to take down the Death Star in Episode 4.
Right.
Because I believe Honest Trailers said it best. Like, this is the most money anyone's ever put in to fill in a plot hole. And I also love.
I appreciate that they did it though. That's a.
Yeah, no, I totally do too. Although I really do love what they do here, where the Death Star just blocks out the sun before destroying Jeddah. Like, damn, this guy knows. Like, Gareth Edwards, the director, he definitely knows how to set up a shot for these. Like, contrary to a lot of other people, I know. A lot of people didn't care for his other film, his Godzilla movie, but I still really love his version of Godzilla, and I really love this one. Yes, that is so cool. The fucking, just like the ×10 apocalyptic nuclear explosion with a solar eclipse from the Death Star. Like, oh god, that's some awesome visual storytelling right there. So now they got to all escape, and now here's where probably I love this line. There's a problem on the horizon. There's no horizon. I swear, that's probably the other reason why he's so memorable, because he clearly gets the best lines.
I wonder how much of that is ad-libbed, out of just pure curiosity.
I'm pretty sure more than we're let on. Like, I know, because Alan Tudyk has just an amazing instinct as an actor. So probably a lot of it was improvised, but who knows? But anyway, here comes this part right here, though, is probably the biggest point where I'm like, the movie kind of fucked itself up. But it kind of like did that just so the plot can keep going. Is that Saul Guerrero just finally just says, "I will run no longer," because he has to die. Like, that's the thing with this movie, all the main characters die, and I'm like, yeah, but the thing is, like, I still question as to why is he dying. Like, why is he choosing now to die? Like, I don't know, it's kind of vague and dumb. Also, Jyn Erso made her biggest fuck up of this entire movie. She didn't take her father's message with him.
Yeah,
like, seriously, just take the flash drive with you and like just run with that shit and take it to the rebellion and be like, look, there's a flaw. We can, there's proof. My father's innocent. Please don't kill him. And that sort of shit. But no, more movie things need to happen, I guess. So whatever. This is a stupid space opera movie. So who are we to complain about, right?
Also, imagine how intimidating this would be. You just have the whole of the crust literally,
literally rising up,
inceptioned over to you.
And yes. Or Actually, no. I was thinking you're on the right track. Interstellar. Like, you remember that giant
the
wave that was heading toward him?
Oh,
like,
God.
yeah, that's totally what they were. Oh, dude.
Imagine the shit in your pants right now.
Um, I'm pretty sure in like 2 seconds there wouldn't be anything in my pants. My pants would no longer be pants anymore. They'd just be a cinder.
Well, at a few seconds it wouldn't be your problem then, wouldn't it? Yeah, throw your fucking rebreather.
Yeah, well, he doesn't give a shit.
Not anymore.
I still wish that I kind of gave a little bit more of a shit about his death. Because, again, I'm still curious as to why he chose right then and there to die and to stop the fight and whatnot.
Did you ever look into that? Like, maybe there was more and it just was part of the section that was cut?
I don't think so. Well, because apparently Disney was looking at a lot of the dailies from this movie. Kathleen Kennedy specifically was like, there's not... that we're not quite happy with what you're doing. Like, we want to change this, this, and this. And so they had to do extensive reshoots. Literally to the point where Gareth Edwards almost just completely walked. So I don't know the extent of it, and I don't know specifically, but that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
That dust cloud right there, where it's like actually catching up into space to make contact with the Death Star, that's some scary ass shit right there.
Yeah, imagine how powerful that is. Like...
And that's just like on the low setting. That's not the planet destroying. That's just the city destroying settings.
That's like a meteor of dinosaur level cracking into you. Almost.
Like, yeah,
well,
no kidding.
That would be very similar to that.
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they designed that shot with the VFX. Like, just studied, simulations of the dinosaur meteor. And of course, Star Wars wouldn't be have any good politics if it wasn't about a bunch of white guys squabbling over who made the ultimate weapon. Specifically, old white guys. Yeah. Oh, I still gotta admit, again, like Tarkin here in this part for some, like his first appearance was kind of off-putting. Here, he's a little bit more convincing and whatnot. But I'm just still glad that we got to see him in this movie, because when you have any plot that involves the first Death Star, it's kind of hard to not have Tarkin, because he was
Tarkin.
Yeah, he kind of was the chief villain of Episode 4. So yeah, still kind of cool that they see it. So now the rebels are getting news that Jeddah's been destroyed, and now they're gonna do some retaliation. And they're gonna go straight for Jyn Erso's father. And I still wish, like, dude, Jyn Erso, all she had to do was grab her father's message, fuck off back to the base, and be like, "Don't kill him. He's working for us."
You're really hung up on that, aren't you?
Well, I mean, it's. I was like, "Hey, wait, you should have taken that." And they bring that up in this conversation coming up. He's like, "Everything happened so fast, I forgot about it." I'm like, dude, you had one job. You could have saved everyone, including yourself. Oh well, this movie still makes for a pretty good movie. I also love the headphones that Cassian was using earlier, because I've seen it honestly looks like some vintage Air Force headphones from way back in the day. Good shit. So yeah, now they're headed out to Galen Erso's location at the Imperial base. Bodhi introducing himself, and then going to kill him. Yeah. Oh, by the way, that's another thing that I forgot to mention earlier. When Cassian's talking to that one rebel soldier before he starts shooting the crap out of stormtroopers, and then he just kills him as a mercy killing. How did you feel about that?
That the rebellion was a lot darker, and I think it goes on to the earlier comment. The nice thing about Star Wars is it takes black and white and throws it into what it really looks like, especially the way that it's evolved. Black and white is not black and white.
Yeah. I think it's just a really good way to set his character. Like Cassian's like a dude who's seen it all, and he's willing to do anything to save his hide and get the mission successfully done. Although I'm still kind of iffy that he didn't pull the trigger when he had Galen Erso in his sights. Because I would have thought, like, a dude like this, he would have just, like, gone straight for it.
Yeah, well, they're, I think, trying to over-accent the power of quote-unquote love. And
maybe not love, but I see where you're going with this, like, more along the lines of trust.
right.
Yeah. So, I think, yeah. That does kind of feel like his arc is, like, you know, it's getting to trust others again and not just kind of look out for himself, which, let's be honest, that's totally his character.
Well, this movie doesn't have to have characters that evolve a whole lot. You know, this is
because they kill him straight off
of a chapter, not even really an episode, a chapter, and you don't have to grow a whole lot with these. You can have your very clearly defined characters, and the arc is the story itself. It doesn't normally work, but luckily, with a thing as large as Star Wars, you can allow the other movies to tell it for you. That building,
yeah, because the environment informs so much of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the environment kind of fills in all the blanks that you really need to know about the story and the plot and whatnot. So you can kind of focus more on that. So now we have Krennic going to Edu, the Imperial Kyber refinery, which now, so you're a little bit more versed in the expanded universe. What planet are the Kyber crystals on? Because I know the Jedi
Kyber?
and the Sith have like
there's a lot on Dantooine. You're looking at Korriban. A lot of the places where, because Kyber crystals existed naturally. I think there was one on Yavin, I want to believe. And if anybody can comment, if you have a better idea of that than I do, please let us know.
Please do so.
It's going to bug the crap out of me, though. But I
Yep,
do know a lot of them are in the old places. And the point.
Well, at
of
least
this
that we can
scene,
say that they're.
Hmm?
No, I was just about to say, like, well, at least we can kind of confirm that there's a lot more Kyber in. It's not just the one planet. There's multiple planets that have Kyber
Well,
crystals.
it is accepted that Palpatine, after his rise to power, farmed the Kyber crystals and then destroyed them. The ones he didn't destroy, like the crystal caves that he didn't destroy, was heavily regulated. So he found every known place in general knowledge and a little bit deeper, using the Jedi archives, using hearsay,
the Sith holocrons.
Yeah, it was another power grab, and it's neat to what they did to one of these. One of these quarries of Kyber crystals.
Isn't the because isn't the Kyber crystals also what power the Death Star super laser?
Yeah, I think so. I believe so.
That's what I thought. Yep, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, now we're gonna go out into here, and this is where Jyn she gets into her rebel rain outfit, which is probably my favorite outfit for her. Like eventually, like one of these days, I kind of want to find someone who does Jyn Erso cosplay and do an actual photo shoot in the rain and do this sort of thing, because I love how they actually bring in the elements back to Star Wars. Like it's now, wet, dirty, and slimy and muggy and just kind of a gross place to be. And it's not quite as pristine. Yeah, that's a bit. Well, this is more like just a stormy mountain kind of setting, whereas Dagobah was like the swamp. But again, I still like because if you look at the prequels, they're really clean. But that's probably because they were all shot on, green screen studios.
Yeah.
So they lacked that tactile grime that the originals had. And since these guys are clearly out on location, hell, even if they're on like a set with just some dressings and like a green screen background, they still know how to photograph it and make it look like it's a location,
Well, also they're doing different things with camera. It looks more realistic, and I don't know, you're far better at noticing these things than I am. Like, you still have the regular pans,
Yeah.
but you can see a lot of the mundane action scenes, like what we just saw here. We just saw one of the fighters take off, and it was just it was just a scene of the runway. The guy just moving, but they used the camera in such a way that it seemed so much more energetic. You could feel the way the weather was for that poor dude out there.
Yep. Because it's the introduction. Because again, these movies actually have budgets, unlike the movies from way back in the day that we love. Yeah, and plus the other thing, that's probably the one thing that I kind of really miss about the old movies. The old movies, like if you look at movies, how they were photographed and edited, back in like the late 70s and early 80s, there was a distinct way of placing the camera, moving the camera. Things were a lot simpler in terms of movements, and they had their own voice in terms of cutting. Today it's now they're kind of mixing those old production designs, but with the sleek, filming styles of today, because the camera's movements are a lot more dynamic. The depth of field is a lot more shallow. There's a lot more detail in the shots and whatnot. And plus, obviously, just because of the technology, the compositing is like 10 times better. So, yeah,
Film is a very young art form technically still, so you're still figuring out some new things.
Mm-hmm. And back in the 80s, they were still trying to, figure out how shit works. And because back in the old days when they were shot on film, you had to use the optical printers to make, multiple elements and, how to add like the painted backdrops and whatnot. I actually miss painted backdrops more than anything. There's a real art to them, and they have just like such a wonderful, like dreamlike look to them that I really miss that. Because now they really try to go as photoreal as humanly possible.
I always, when I think of that kind of stuff, I always remember the pilot episode to the original Star Trek with it was before Kirk. It was the one with
The Cage, the unaired pilot.
Huh?
The unaired pilot, The Cage.
Yeah, the pilot. Yeah, with Admiral Pike. He wasn't Admiral yet. He was still Captain.
Yes.
And I remember they mind controlled or not mind controlled, but like they made oh god, it's been so long since I've seen this. They gave him a hallucination that he was back on the farm, and god, it was horrible set. The grass was just painted green, floor. There was trees that were just green balls on top of wooden sticks. It was horrible, but it was so funny.
Yeah, that's kind of the charm of the old Star Trek. But the thing about Star Wars,
well, hey, I'm just giving a comparison here, sir.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm totally okay with Star Wars and Star Trek coexisting. I just really love to poke fun at the rivalry, like, so much. So, but yeah. Anyway, Director Krennic's gonna kill all these guys, but Galen Erso totally just outs himself, and I really love what Krennic decides to do right here. He's like, "Oh, so you're gonna confess? Well, I guess we're just gonna have to punish you," and then he's gonna just shoot them all. He shoots them all anyway, because I think it's actually to the point where he's like, "Dude, I fucking know that I know you're behind this," and yeah, here's where Cassian chooses actually not to shoot him. I actually kind of like the look on his face right there. It's almost to the point where he's like, "Wait, even I'm kind of surprised by my choice." You know?
I always wondered. I mean, they know that the dude in the white cape is the target as well. And if he said no to the original target, I still don't know why he wouldn't take out somebody that high. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's another good point. Like, because, dude, when an Imperial officer walks around with a fucking cape, you automatically know he means business.
Right.
So to not take him out is a little stupid. But again, the rest of the movie needs to happen, and there's some payoffs. Right. So you do make, again, like, there are flaws in this movie, but
you
the
didn't
stuff
have
that's
to hit,
so good.
But you could still take the shot.
Yeah, you could. I get, or even to the point where you could, if you're not sure which one of them, you can just wound them both.
Yeah.
But again, this stuff needs to happen. Like, the movie is like, no. There's going to be some really cool payoff stuff, and if we do that, you're not going to be able to see it. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, little bit of a geeky nitpick, but well, let's see what the movie has to offer. And thank God it actually manages to pull it off, because, oh boy, there are some amazing moments to come. And speaking of amazing moments, the Rebel Alliance showing up to fuck up shit. And I love this shot right there, like where you see like the point of view with the X-wing. That's awesome. Just anytime these guys show up, and it's also really cool seeing like the X-wings fighting in the rain at night.
Again, more of that guerrilla warfare that we didn't really see very often. I mean, technically, the assault on the Death Star in Episode 4.
Yeah.
Technically, that was a guerrilla style, but it was still played off very much us versus you, very much traditional, what you think of warfare. Like, there's this side and there's this side. One side's bigger, one side's not. But this really gets the feel of what rebellions are really like. You know, it's dirty. It's knives in the back. It's taking the cheap shots.
It's painful.
Yeah.
It's really painful.
And I think that's part of the appeal of this. You know, you still have Star Wars, you still have the Force, you still have this guy.
Wait, speaking of
Jedi
the Force, this shit happens.
Super cool
this shit. Boom! That is just the coolest thing. Can you imagine that TIE fighter like just the second before he dies is like, I got taken out by the blind guy?
Well, he wouldn't know. I would love to see a dude who saw that go, bullshit. I call bullshit.
That's like Stevie Wonder taking up a fucking bazooka and just like pointing it out there and like, piss off! Boom! And it actually takes someone out. Feeling superstitious now, baby?
What's the ending scene in Saving Private Ryan when Tom Hanks' character is just shooting the tank with a pistol, and then all of a sudden the tank explodes and he looks at the pistol.
Yeah, that moment is like, the fuck? No, you know what? I would have. I think there was a line in one of the Batman Arkham movies where Joker shoots a guy, but it's timed with an explosive, and he just kind of looks at it and he's like, "Best gun ever." So now we have a final touching moment with Jyn Erso and his dad Gala. Who knew that she would be right there at his death? But I guess, you know, a death scene has to happen.
Force, man.
Although you know what what's actually kind of interesting about this one? What was his name? Mads Mikkelsen, who plays Galen Erso. This is like one of the first major blockbuster movies where he doesn't have shit over his eyes. It's kind of uncanny and funny. Because I swear, like, every other movie that this guy's in, like one of the big Hollywood blockbuster movies, he's always got shit over his eyes, whether it's like, you know, scar makeup or magic eyeliner, whatever that was in Doctor Strange. But, yeah.
I don't know. Oh, God, what was it? He was on A very new film too, but he had an eye patch or something like that. But you're
Yep.
right. He's got some kind of facial
Stuff
thing
over
in
his
a lot
eye.
of movies that just accent his character. This one is fairly plain.
Yeah, no kidding. So good for him for not getting so typecast.
Yeah.
So now
I've always really liked him as a character. I like his voice.
Oh yeah, dude, totally. Like he should do more voice acting. Like, can you imagine if he was one of the DC villains in like one of the adult animated movies?
Ooh.
Yeah, man. You hear that, Warner Brothers? Steal this guy away from Disney.
Would not be mad.
Nope, no, it wouldn't. So now the Imperial facility has been destroyed, and now these guys are going to fuck off. I believe. Oh yeah, they're going straight to Jeddah, because that's where the plans are. And Jeddah is also probably one of my favorite locations because I looked at Jeddah. Well, I'll talk about it when we actually get there, because the visuals are like a big part of it for me. Because, yeah, that's like half this movie. Like it's just gorgeous to look at, and I honestly just want to run around in the sets all day long. Can you imagine Gareth Edwards directing this movie, like, and just walking around on these sets working on this movie? Because apparently Gareth Edwards is a big-ass Star Wars nerd, even before he made these movies. Apparently, he actually made a worldwide Star Wars pilgrimage to the original set of Homestead, where Luke Skywalker was. It's still there. So he went there out in Tunisia. Yeah, he went out to Tunisia. He took a picture where Luke Skywalker stood during the binary sunset. He went out to Norway. He went out to the locations in the redwood forest where they shot the Endor stuff. So the dude's already a huge Star Wars nerd. So can you imagine like doing all that and then Disney be like, direct our movie?
I'm not sure I'd be able to get any real work done. I'd just sit there. I'd sit there and I'd soak it in as long as they'd let me until they fired me, and I'd be happy.
Honestly, I feel like you would be a lot better as the writer, and you just kind of visit the set and just kind of sit back with the director in their chair and just be like, and just watch the explosions and stormtroopers fly up into the air.
No, I can't do that either because they'd have to kick me out because I'd be like, oh, bullshit, that's not right. That's not how you do that. And I'd last all of 30 seconds. And all of a sudden, I'm not allowed to see.
Point is, everyone, you hear that, Disney? Keep Nathan Ball away, 10,000 feet away from a Star Wars set at all times.
How dare you, Tim?
I, on the other hand, if you want to invite me, please invite me. I would love to step onto the Millennium Falcon. And now here comes the big part. Okay, fuck everything else. This is the best part of the movie. Go. Now, I love how they actually don't, because if you noticed in the early parts of the movie, they specify what planet you're on. Like, they actually have title cards, Yavin 4, Edu, and like the Imperial mining plant and whatnot. They do not give one here. But you know what? Us fans know exactly where this is. Mustafar. And that's Darth Vader's castle. Because I've seen the original Ralph McQuarrie artwork. And that's the other thing that I thought was really cool, is they actually dug up the old concept paintings. Because apparently Ralph McQuarrie did a concept art for Darth Vader's castle on a lava planet. And they just ripped it off and did this.
That's super cool.
Yeah. But not as cool as this. Yes. Yes, bitch. Yes, bitch. Oh. Like, I just love how he's, like, Vader on his downtime, he's just taking a permanent bath.
In bacta tanks.
Yep.
Like,
he just
imagine the damage that his body has. That's the only way he can get comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, not even really comfortable. He was never truly
just
comfortable.
habitable.
Right.
But this, the fucking shadow, and the music swells as Lord Vader graces the screen properly since 1983. Because, I'm sorry, like, I'll love me Revenge of the Sith, but there is no defense against... No!
Well, he wasn't truly Vader yet.
Yeah,
Well,
but
not
here
the Vader
he is.
that we know.
Here he is full-fledged Vader. And James Earl Jones is back. I don't care if he sounds like... It actually, was that one thing that you noticed when you first watched this? Like, James Earl Jones sounds super old.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens, but, man.
It happens, but you know what? I don't give a fuck, because I love this. And this moment right here, where Vader doesn't say shit. He just closes in on him. Like, that's intimidating.
Well, you have to remember, Vader was a dude who got slightly annoyed at a guy at an office meeting and killed him. So,
yeah.
like,
but I just love the blocking of that. He just walks in on him. But totally for real, right here, this is Darth Vader at his finest. You know, because God, it's so cool seeing him in the original costume as well, because they even pulled up the original specs of the suit from A New Hope, and they got it just right. And I do Darth Vader cosplay, so I know all the niche little details. And outside of the helmet, that suit is spot on. But of course, even though this scene is awesome, how do you feel about this line right here? The choke on your aspirations, director. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
He could have been... I hate that he used the word choke.
Yeah.
Like, you could have made something deviously punny and not use that word.
Yeah. I think probably one of the best quips that I heard about that is like, who let George Lucas write a line?
I think it would have been better if it didn't show Vader force choking, but if the other guy was just nervously grabbing at his throat, that would have been a better way to deliver that. Because it would have
probably
shown that, it would have shown that Vader doesn't fuck around.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to do, but you know, at the end of the day, this is a big dumb movie about space wizards. So
True.
Just a little harsh on it, but that's just because we love Darth Vader so much. But it was really cool just to see him walk the walk and talk the talk again, like the real way that we remember. But the one thing that I really love when he closes in on Director Krennic without saying anything, that's probably one of my favorite moves that Darth Vader's ever pulled on someone he's talking down to. Because for those of you who don't know me personally, I do Darth Vader cosplay, like professional Darth Vader cosplay. And there were a couple of times when I was still working out the kinks of my sound system, like my voice sound system, that all I had was breathing, but I had no voice. It was just my voice muffled under the mask. So I had to use my body language entirely. And I have since adapted that as my go-to thing to intimidate people without saying a fucking word. And I can't tell you how well it works and how super satisfying it is to see the look on their faces. Just see grown men be like,
well, oh god, the whole costume is just really intimidating all in itself because you can't see where he's looking. He's what, 6'6" or taller or something like that. So just physically imposing.
The original Vader I believe is about 6'8", 6'9", because David Prowse was like 6'5".
Right,
at his height, and the helmet physically adds a little bit more, so he's like 6'8".
So
heels and the helmet also makes him a little bit taller. So, but because when I'm in the Vader suit, I'm easily like 6'5", 6'6", and I'm 6'3" in my bare feet.
Right.
And I actually remember when we went to the premiere of The Last Jedi, and I was dressed as Darth Vader. We were walking back to the parking lot, and my breathing is still going, and you're just kind of standing right there next to me walking back. And I remember the moment that I will never forget is you just turn over and look at me and look me up and down and just go, that is so intimidating. I never felt so pleased with myself in my life.
I'm glad I could give you that, Tim.
Yeah. All right. So, and back to yeah, we've been really getting sidetracked here. So now the rebellion, Cassian and like some volunteers are gonna go to Jeddah and help take out steal the Death Star plans. So like behind the rebel leaders' backs to take them out. And I really love how, again, they're emphasizing this whole idea of the rebellion where it's just very scrappy. It's just like working with what they have, where these people just kind of come from nowhere. They don't have any families, just each other, and they all decide that they want to go out and do this sort of thing,
And, yeah, usually rebellions are the enemy. Like, they're the enemy of order. All propaganda is going to be against them. They're going to be dirty. They're going to be angry. They're going to be, like we've said a couple of times now, they're going to be the knife in the back. And
they're going to be the homeless people with, like, the courage to get up and fight.
Yeah, they're the heroes after they've already won. Before then, they're the villains.
Yeah, they're just kind of the muck and scum of the underworld, which I imagine is where they get their nickname Rebel Scum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, totally. All very fitting. And, of course, I love this. Cassian said I had to. Again, K2SO gets all the best lines in this movie, and Alan Tudyk just delivers them on just a level so well.
Oh god.
But yeah, and then we have them all gearing up, which I love that shot where they're all just like pimping onto the ship and ready to go kick some Imperial ass. But and also because I remember you commenting on this heavily when we first watched it together. Felicity Day, goddamn that woman. You know what I mean?
I've been trying to be pleasant this whole time as a guest on your show, but I've been ogling. And,
it's kind of hard not to. Like, God, like that woman is like, not only is she just super fine, but holy hell, that woman can fight, and she can snark.
I really enjoy the snark. I'm not gonna lie.
Right? Oh yeah.
Oh God, take me now. Okay, I'm done. See, this is why I didn't open up this can of worms, Tim.
What's that? Oh, and yeah, there it is, the title drop, Rogue One, which I knew as soon as like he was getting on the comm, and he's like, "What's your call sign?" I'm like, "Oh, I know what his call sign is. I totally know what his call sign is. This is the title of the movie. Why would you name this movie?" And I actually do love the fact that apparently I like to think that because the Rogue One, their call sign, their mission to steal the Death Star plans, was so successful to the Rebel Alliance that in Empire Strikes Back they named their Blizzard Force after them, which is why you get in Empire Strikes Back Rogue Leader, Rogue One, Rogue Two, and all that, Rogue Squadron, which I'm like, yes.
Honestly, I didn't put that together until just now.
No, that's what I like to think. And then, of course, we got Bail Organa kind of alluding to knowing a Jedi Master on Tatooine. And, of course, trusting her, which we all know Princess Leia is going to... So, Bail Organa is setting up shit to get Princess Leia the plans and Ben Kenobi to help him with the fight from the clone.
And then he's going to Alderaan.
Yeah. And dies. That sucks.
Well, he didn't really feel a whole lot. It's more like suddenly it's not his shit anymore.
Yeah, I guess. So, also right here, this is another thing that I was like, well, this is a little bit of a repeat, but I'm willing to go. Oh, I can survive in space. K2 being such a jerk. But yeah, watching this sequence right here, I'm like, ooh, well, you guys are definitely on a little bit of repeat. This doesn't feel like Return of the Jedi, lowering the shields to get down to the planet to take out the base. This doesn't feel borrowed at all. This feels totally fresh. No,
and also, thinking back on it now, you think they would have had a little bit better grasp on this as the Empire if it already happened once. And they let it happen.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. To be fair, the second time it happens in Return of the Jedi, That was orchestrated by
That's true.
Palpatine.
That's true.
Yeah,
Forgive me.
yeah. It all adds up. It all adds up. God, we are such fucking Star Wars nerds.
Well, yeah.
But then again, I'm pretty sure anyone who's watching this is already a big Star Wars nerd. So who are they to judge?
Oh, have you met some of the Star Wars nerds? Good lord.
Yeah. Good point, dude. They're fucking nuts.
Well, we'll not get into that because that's despairing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let people like things.
We'll just let them have it.
Yeah.
But I really do love the design of the shield.
That is beautiful.
Right? Like again, just from a sheer cinematography and production design, this is a gorgeous looking movie. And I also really do love the design of Scarif, because this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Oh yeah, and the dish that they talk about, setting it, plot setup, because the files are so big. Like, they really have to go into a lot of detail as to why, you know,
they have what they have.
well, it's not just that, but you're like, when you watch A New Hope for the first time, you're like, dude, doesn't Princess Leia have email?
Yeah.
Like, can't she just send the plans over email to Ben Kenobi instead of like hiding it in a droid to get lost out in the desert? But first off, you know, it was the 70s, email wasn't a thing then. But also, it's just like, now they're explaining, like, because it's the future and whatnot, the file size are just too big to do. Like, they need big ass dishes to transfer this stuff. So
Cold drops.
Yep, they have to do some world building, I guess. So, but yeah, then Jyn Erso giving the speech of, yeah, we're all probably gonna die. We're all probably going to die. Which, let's be honest, they all do die. Every one of these people die. Although what I really do love, because for the longest time, ever since I was a little kid, I've always loved the uniforms of the Rebel Alliance, specifically that on Hoth and Endor. Because Hoth was just like a cool Blizzard force, but Endor was like the Star Wars version of Vietnam. And in here, I love how they push that aesthetic even further. Because if you notice, some of the guys are straight up wearing M1 helmets from like the 1940s and 50s. They just have like a Star Wars-esque coverall. Mm-hmm. And apparently, I've actually looked up the cosplayers for this sort of thing. They sell the covers on like, you know, forums and Etsy makers and whatnot, and you can literally just straight up put it on an M1 helmet, and it looks exactly
really?
like that. Yeah, dude, it's totally.
That's just cool.
Those are literally just old-fashioned M1 helmets from the 1940s and 50s. So, really cool little Star Wars aesthetic trivia for you there. So now they're doing the inspection. And again, this doesn't feel borrowed at all. An Imperial inspection going onto a ship to become a trap, and they just take their clothes and to infiltrate a facility. That doesn't feel borrowed at all. That feels 100% fresh. No, it's not. It is very much not. And so now Director Krennic is here, and I actually really love the design of his shuttle. Like, it's really tiny, but it's also really sleek and very much in the style of like the Lambda class shuttles that Vader uses frequently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good shit. So, yep, again, just gonna take their uniforms, and I love the cliche that their uniforms fit perfectly.
Well, the other interesting thing is this is hotly debated that the reason that they got off of the Death Star in the first place was because it too was a trap to lead them to the Rebel forces. That's why. Yeah, that's why the stormtroopers suck at shooting, the whole thing, because it was an unspoken trap that wasn't explained very well.
That's actually a really I've seen that fan theory. Although there was another fan theory that I thought was even cooler. Because the whole idea of a stormtrooper being disgusted at what he's doing with the character of Finn in The Force Awakens. Maybe the stormtroopers were just forced into servitude and they don't want to hurt anybody. And that's why they're such bad shots. Because
that's interesting, but that seems even further far-fetched.
Yeah.
Like, all of them.
Yeah. At least some of them, anyway.
Especially when you're on the Death Star and the Emperor is right there.
Dude,
oh, no.
check that shit out. Like, them running through the rainforest, like, this is so World War II Pacific.
Yeah.
It's not even funny. Like, that's
Midway.
the Battle of Midway or the Battle of Iwo Jima and Okinawa. Like, all those, like, great World War II Pacific battles. That's what I really love about this location, that they gave it a tropical kind of island sort of feel to make it as close to, like, World War II Pacific island hopping fighting.
Can we talk about how long this scene goes? Well, it's a couple scenes, but this section of the movie goes. Like, we're at an hour and 30 in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's 2 hours and 13 minutes long. That's 40 minutes of this infiltration and battle just dedicated to doing this. God, the detail.
And I also really love the other K2 model. I really love how they actually distinct their walks. Like the bad one, the one that's still working for the Imperial Empire, his movements are very stiff and rigid, whereas K2's is much more rumored. Like T-15s. I understand that reference because I'm a Star Wars nerd. And that whole and of course you remember way back when he was talking about the Guardians of the Wills. I'm like, hey, I understand that reference because I'm a nerd. I like Star Wars. God, these movies were made for all the nerds. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing that I really love about the Rebel uniforms is their hats. They're like army deer hats, like that guy.
Yeah.
I actually found a guy on Etsy who made them, and I personally got a hat like that now.
I'm sure you did.
I'm very happy.
Positive. I believe you wholeheartedly.
I am very happy about that hat. And as a matter of fact, it's very effective in the winter. Not gonna lie.
Believe that too, actually.
Mouse droid, because it's not fucking Star Wars until you've seen a mouse droid.
I do like the mouse droids.
Yep. And
that
so
looks so gnarly.
Right. Like, and K2 is just doing it without any question or just like no discomfort whatsoever. Just going straight at it. And I also really love how the port on the back of that K2's model's head, it looks exactly like the cable port from R2-D2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good aesthetic. And I love how he's like, yeah, we're just fucked. We are so fucked. And they're just like, well, might as well get started. And like you said before, like the whole guerrilla fighting, I love their tactics that they use later on, where they're like, let's make 10 men feel like 100.
Mm-hmm. And
they just kind of go out and really use their guerrilla tactics to the max, where they just like, even though there's like maybe, 20 of these guys, they're making it. Yeah, they're making it feel like there's a full-on assault of like 200 guys out there.
Yeah, like look at that. It's all across that stretch of the island.
Yep. And I actually love that line. He's just like, everyone's just kind of silent while the explosions goes off, and he looks back and I'm like, what are you doing? Just deploy the garrison. Oh man, fucking stormtroopers hauling out, and I love the desert troopers there, like the Scarif troopers, if you will. Because, and yeah, I love the fact that they're like, you know what, the stormtroopers are really cool and all, but let's give them some new flavors just specifically for this movie. I'm okay with that, because even though that these stormtroopers don't show up in the original trilogy at all.
Just mowing down, bottlenecking.
Yep. Just boom. I love that shit. Just kicking the shit out of stormtroopers. And then we got the Death Star again. Another really cool shot. Another cool shot of the interior where we see Governor Tarkin. He's like, Scarif's under attack and whatnot.
See, that's a great shot.
Yeah. Right there. And except for the mouth. Now I see it. Yep. when he's not talking,
See?
he actually looks pretty cool.
Mouth gets you. Mouth gets you. And I didn't know what you told me about that though before the overacting with the dialogue, but he just punches him in the face.
It's yeah, I know. He's so fucking great. But it's not just like overacting. It could also be underacting, not giving enough information for the animators to work with, and they try to compensate. So like the actors are trying to compensate for the animators, and the animators are trying to compensate for the actors. And if one kind of tips the balance too far, it just kind of ruins the shot. So, yeah. But anyway, now the rebels have heard that the rebels are on Scarif, and they're going to go out and fight and reinforce these guys, and it's the most fucking awesome thing ever.
Motherfucker, dodging bullets
like they're fucking dodgeballs. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a blaster bolt.
You can really tell the camaraderie that this group of 20 has. Like, everything hits harder. It's not just some random dudes in the garrison. Like, you see pain, you see surprise. It's people.
Brotherhood and that sort of thing. I love this shit. May the Force be with you. The launching. Hey! It's the two droids. It's not Star Wars without
You guys can't see at home, but I'm bouncing up and down.
Like a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, that actually, I was talking to my buddy Nick on our podcast with Solo. Probably the reason why Solo didn't do well, didn't have C-3PO and R2-D2. They're the lucky charm.
Really, but
yeah, they're the lucky charm, dude. Like, they're in there for this one moment, but that one moment, still good. So now the rebels are taking fire, and now I love what Bodhi does here. He starts getting on the comm, and he starts, talking to, giving in false reports, sending the garrison in a whole bunch of different places, and sending a whole lot of miscommunication. Excellent guerrilla warfare tactics. Yeah, good shit.
Also inflating numbers.
Yes, inflating numbers and misdirections and misinformation, and I love that. It's taking those real world tactics. And now this moment, the thump, and just like guys, run, please run. Because you imagine those motherfuckers. Nope.
Balls.
Nope. Run away. I'm done. I draw the line at AT-AT.
Now, what are you going to do against that?
Run. That's what you do. Run, motherfucker. I don't want to see an ad. Oh, this shot right here. Boom. Okay, this is one of my favorite things of how they're shooting these dogfights now. Because you remember in the old days where it was just the camera kind of bolted to the cockpit like this? Oh, wait. Gold leader standing by. And red leader from the old movies, man. That was a really cool surprise moment. But yeah, like I said, they usually bolt the camera just for the medium shot of the pilots. In here, they actually go, take it a step further. Like, they'll quote unquote bolt the camera to the sides of and the wings of the X-wings, almost to really give it that sense of these were 1940s dogfights that back in the day where they just bolted the cameras to the plane as it flew around. So I mean, they do shit like this where the camera movements are a lot more dynamic. But right there, dude, where you see the camera's just bolted to the side of the X-wing fighter, I love that kind of groundedness to the way that they shoot these things. Because back in the old days, it was either like a medium shot of the pilot, maybe a point of view, and then you had dynamic shots like this. Like, this feels like if Return of the Jedi had a budget.
Yeah.
So, and I really love the fact that, they're pushing that, the language of the cinema a little bit further. And it honestly feels like it's from, the 70s. Like, they're clearly drawing inspiration from, old dogfight films like the Howard Hawks films from the 1930s. So, really, really good shit there. So, Now they got to get the shield down in order to get the plans up, because there's always something fucking wrong with these goddamn missions. So now they got to blow a hole in shield gate, transmit the plans, and then they can steal the plans. So yeah, all that good shit. There was some other stuff that I wanted to say, but my mind's kind of blanking. Although I do like this moment right here. They actually give K2 a gun. Which, I'm still wondering how that... I was still wondering when she first gave him that gun, how that was going to play out. Because it's K2.
I expect only great things.
Yeah. Now, this shit right here, straight out of... Like I said, straight out of the Battle of Midway. You know? So good. And, sir, do you really think like a little patch of sand is going to stop a blaster
I think
fire?
I'd rather be in a patch of sand than just kind of swimming.
Good point. And then right here, I thought like, oh shit, maybe they got it. Nope. We're all gonna die. But nope. Reinforcements come in, dude. Rebel Alliance coming in for air support, and it's the coolest thing ever, man. Also, I love the fact that this squadron right here specifically is Blue Leader, or Blue Squadron.
I'm nodding. Sorry. I keep on agreeing with Tim non-vocally. I'm not used to this, so I'm gonna try to...
Yeah, this really is your very first podcast, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
It's fun, isn't it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I definitely catch the appeal.
Yeah. You can see why I get into this shit. So, yeah, now they got to activate the comms towers to get the shield down, and always fucking... Now this shit. Dude. This is the kind of Star Wars battle, like classic Star Wars battles that we've been missing for, like, 30 years. This shot right here is probably one of my favorites, where, again, camera's bolted down to the X-Wing, and it just follows them.
Oh, that's so cool.
It honestly feels to God like they just strapped a camera to an actual X-Wing in space and just hit record. And it's not enough, like, to just... They even bring back, like, the old sound effects, like the really, like, quote-unquote bad sounding ones from, like, the original films with the torpedoes. And then this motherfucker just with a monkey
clever
sound.
Shit.
Boom.
Ooh.
Yeah. Just taking that ad out straight up.
And also, look at how many strides just visually that you could make, you know, in 30 years or 40 years. Because before, when, you know, on Hoth, when the AT-ATs were brought down, it was this big hulking thing. There were explosions, but it was the old school flashy green, blue, red explosion things, and it just kind of fell down.
Yep.
But now you have like jerking motions of what a machine would do if it suddenly, you know, all the hydraulics just blew. You have, you know, reactionary hits, and it looks so much better.
I still kind of miss the old models, because they're the ones that genuinely felt like they had weight, because they did have weight.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from there, but still, you know, this makes me sad.
Oh yeah, totally. And then this shit right here, dude. Anytime it cuts to the space battle, I'm like, yes, bitch, yes. This is the kind of Star Wars battles I haven't seen in years. And we have a fucking Gold Leader again. They bring back the original actor to do. I'm pretty sure. Those shots specifically where you see like a close-up of him young again is archive footage that was unused for episode 4, which is still pretty cool. Now we have
that's super cool.
Yep. And then we have the TIE fighters being released, and now shit's fucking up. Well, that's not scary at all. Like just 100 TIE fighters just flying straight at you. Not intimidating at all. I need to change my pants. But yeah, like you see right there, like those guys with the helmets, Those are straight up M1 helmets with just like
Oh
a
yeah,
Star
you're
Wars
right. I can
sheet
see it
cover
now.
over it. Yep. So it's really cool that you can just kind of, you know, go to a surplus store, pick up one of those, and then just get the coverall, and boom, you got a Rebel helmet. Now shit's being reinforced, and I love what for Jeddah. Again, just going back to that pissed off, you know, Rebel scum. Rebel scumming is its finest, man.
We're having no effect on the shield. You don't say.
Oh yeah. Oh, and this happens. Red 5 goes down. Well, guess what, buddy? Someone much more competent is going to take your place in the sequel.
That's just mean. But true, but mean.
It is true. Well, dude, I mean, Luke Skywalker's the one who took down the entire Death Star. I'm sorry, sir, but even if that guy was, you know, still remotely good, you just don't beat that. Oh, yeah, just K2. I love how casual it is to take out stormtroopers in these movies. Like, it's no big deal. Whatever. But again, if you had to run around in that uniform, you'd probably get your ass kicked left and right, too.
Right.
Because you can't see shit in that thing. And you can't really move that well, either.
And the armor's not even that good.
No. Like, why do you guys even bother with the plastic anymore? Why don't you guys look more like this? At least their armor looks functional and not just intimidating in a parade. Although I will admit, the stormtroopers, like, for all we give it, like all the crap we give it for the lack of movement and whatnot, I do gotta admit, the stunt guys in these movies doing the acrobatic stuff in the armor is really impressive compared to the old stuff. Because the old stunt guys in the suits from way back in the day, you could see those guys were really awkward to move in. But you see these guys, their motions are a lot more fluid. You know, like these guys are taking some serious falls. Like it's a lot more naturalistic. So I'm guessing it's a difference in stunt talent, choreography, and better costume design. Because I know by the time they did Return of the Jedi, they made some serious like upgrades to the Stormtrooper armor, and that made it a lot easier for stunts. And then we have K2SO getting his ass kicked and blasted to death. Now they have to climb to get to the plans because the power's going out. And of course, like the moment we were all kind of dreading but saw coming, K2SO's gonna die. Boom. He did.
Very, very... Oh.
Yeah. But he went out like a boss, so it's okay.
That's true.
He totally went out like a boss. That is
true.
I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't get, tagged by those stormtroopers like a lot more time. Because there were like 24 surrounding him by that point. You'd think
he was also returning fire.
Yeah.
For
I guess.
A while there.
Yeah, still, I'm still kind of amazed like he wasn't shot up a lot more, even though although he, to be fair, he was still pretty shot up. So yeah, now Bodhi's got to connect the thing to get the thing to do the other thing, so the rebels can do the thing.
Your descriptive powers have no equal, sir.
The Force is truly strong with me. But actually, that was the other thing. Like when Bodhi got confronted by those two stormtroopers, I actually kind of wish he had a little bit more time to try to talk his way out of it, because the dude's still in an Imperial uniform.
Right.
Like I want to, so I kind of wanted to see just like a little bit more of that. And then and then that shit right there where they got, again, anytime they strap the camera to the X-Wings, it's always really cool to look at. And Blue Leader is down, back on the beach. Apparently there was a lot more to this battle too. Like there was there was an actual heist. Like if you look at the what is it, the trailers, there's like them actually heisting, the team working together with the plans in their hands, fighting on the beach in their own costumes and not in disguise or anything.
Oh.
Yes, bitch. Yes.
Look how intimidating those troopers look.
Right. And of course, they have to get changed, have to get back to their respective character looks because marketing is a thing. um, but yeah, there was apparently a lot more to that. Krennic was actually walking through war-torn Scarif. So my guess is like a lot of it was either deleted or just got reshot because I really need to go into it and figure out exactly what was originally there and what was changed and what did they originally have in mind and whatnot. But
Can
my
we talk
god,
about how that dude just took a shot at center mass and just adrenaline out of there?
yep. But oh my god, jumping from that height, that is so dangerous. I'm not good with heights. I'm not okay with this.
I think they're aware that they're in plenty of danger, Tim.
Yeah,
At that point,
but dude, like actually, I remember you pointing this out when we were watching, like during the climax. Like you look at Felicity Day and she's like, "Dude, you have died from just falling like 5 times in a row already." Like it's kind of scary because like right there, dude, that's like number 2 in the span of like 3 minutes where she almost died from just falling. Never mind the blasters and the explosions, whatnot. And speaking of blasters and explosions, boom, pew 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 pew, and again, stop it, and he did. And now we have this wonderful moment with Toph, with Star Wars Toph. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. That's actually one of my favorite things that this movie spawned. I love that.
And what a boss moment too.
Right, but I love the fact that it's like a genuine. It feels like a genuine prayer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, just like how are these stormtroopers missing?
Well, the Force was... The concept of the Force was derived heavily off of, like, Taoism. So a lot of chance, a lot of belief of, life itself governs its own rules and things of that nature. So, again, talking about this character, because he's just a fascinating character, he describes... what a non-militaristic Force user would be like. Almost religion-esque, like a monk.
Yeah. Yep.
So the chant actually makes perfect sense.
It totally does, but how much cooler would that scene have been if he just pulled open his staff and turned on a lightsaber?
Oh, I was waiting for it the whole damn movie.
But of course, like I said, this is one of those movies where you probably shouldn't get too invested in these characters. This is Star Wars meets Suicide Squad meets Star Wars Battlefront, and I am okay with everything in that sentence.
God, this is so emotional.
My heart. I just met you. I don't even know your name, really. You could hold a blaster to my face and I would not be able to tell you. I just say Star Wars Toph character.
Chirrut, I believe, is the name I've been...
Either way, he's still Toph. I'm sorry. It's really hard to, separate that.
Right. No.
So now we have... it's actually interesting that even though we have a calamari in command of the Rebel fleet here, it's not Admiral Akbar. I kind of want to see that. Whatever.
I think that there's a fine line between fan pandering that they had to have, and that was just one of them.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's still. I guess I was just rooting for more Admiral Akbar in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we could have at least had it here or whatnot, but whatever. This still suits it. This guy seems like he knows what he's doing, and the CG enhancements on the makeup, because I'm pretty sure that what they did was they had an actor in the chair in full makeup, but he didn't have all the expression that they needed for this role. So they had some CG enhancements to give it more life into the face.
That's easier to do with an alien.
Yeah.
And, you have nothing to base it on.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, Bodhi gets it with a thermal detonator. Boom. Sad pace. But it's okay, because he did his job. All of these characters actually go out like total badasses.
They do. They kind of just accept their fate. Like, this is my job, and I'll be damned if I don't take everyone out in trying to do my job.
I'm going to take... Look, I might die on this mission, but I'm going to take as many of you motherfuckers with me. And even this guy, like, who's, like, this whole movie is bitching about how the Force is just a stupid-ass concept. Here he is, doing that same chant, I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me. And just taking shots left and right from these fuckers. Until, finally, one point, he just gets one with an armed thermal detonator, looks back at his buddy, and then everything just goes black for him. Yep.
Yeah.
All good shit.
What a badass.
Right.
All of them.
Now,
all of them.
This part I still kind of question. At the rate this thing open and closes, how does she get through that without dying or like getting hit? Whatever. It's okay because we got more awesome moments, including this moment. Oh my god, this moment right here, where they go like they just ram right into the down Star Destroyer. And then this shit.
What a ballsy move. I mean, really.
Like, not only that, but they're just going to shove it right into the other one.
like, that's brass balls, sir.
Right?
Brass balls.
A plus plus for effort, sir. Oh, yeah, and also the weird TIE fighter things that are flying around on Scarif. Love the cool new design with that. Oh yeah, and apparently according to the trailer, when Jyn has to go out to realign the antenna, a Star Destroyer just like rises up in front of her, like at point blank range.
Oh.
Yeah. So it would have been like Jyn Ursa versus a TIE fighter. So yeah, there was a lot of shit. Like right there, like there was where she's walking up to it. There was supposed to be a TIE fighter that she was supposed to face down, at least from the trailer. But again, Lucasfilm decided didn't need it, needed to rewrite it, got cut out, whatever. I don't know. I don't know the full story. I wish I did, honestly.
What a shame. That would have been really, really cool, right? But I think that might have actually been a distraction. So I'm actually for that change.
This, I am so for. Dude, they just slice that thing like it's a fucking apple pie.
That may be one of the single most creative ways to take out a Star Destroyer I have ever seen.
Right? That's another really great thing about these new Disney movies. They get really, really fucking creative with their space battles. They really know how to change it up and do something different. Which, like, one of my favorite moments in The Last Jedi is when they hyperspace straight through the Imperial cruiser.
That was a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you like or dislike the movie. That scene was gorgeous.
A lot of people bitch about it and like, that totally ruins the rules of space battle. Bitch, there are no rules to space battle.
Not. People just are generally not suicidal.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. You don't just send an entire very expensive cruiser at another starship if there are other people on board who don't want to die. And you don't want to take out an entire ship, one of your ships, unless you're really desperate.
Yeah,
so
I love. You know, we keep on bringing this up, and it's just gonna have to because it's Rogue One, Rogue. It's a story of just how nitty gritty the rebels are. But every single rebel here, especially in this fight, are just like, oh yeah, fuck me. Well, how about fuck you?
That's right. They just have like a real attitude, and that's what I love about the Rebels. That's why I'm more interested in joining the Rebel Legion than the 501st, because I just love having that rebellious edge. Also, that's a really great way to take out the shield. Not only using the down Star Destroyer to take out the other Star Destroyer, but to take that down to Star Destroyer to take out the shield.
That's a hell of a hit there.
I know, right?
There, sir.
And now
what a shot!
And now they're yeah, great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million. And so now they're finally got the shield going up. And also, I love the fact that they do leave him, because there's a moment coming up where Krennic does meet his death, and it's so awesome. But we'll get to that in a moment. So now they have the plans. The rebellion has the plans, and the mission is successful. And you're like, damn, how are these two gonna get out of it? They're not. Spoiler alert, I guess. Let's face it. That shot.
Oh,
that shot.
The Death Star rising over the planetary horizon.
Yikes.
God.
They really know how to shoot the Empire in this movie.
They're
also another thing that I wanted to talk about in this movie is, you know what another really great bonus to this movie? Because for years and years and years, we've had the musical track, The Imperial March.
Right.
Which we've all had as our ringtone at one point or another, right?
Also true.
This movie gave us the Imperial Suite, which is the dun da da dun bum bum ba bum ba dum bum bum ba 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 ba. Like, hell yes, I want more Imperial like marches. Hell yes, I want that. So yeah, we gotta mention the musical score is just as good. As this whole movie. And then, of course, we have this bit right here where Krennic meets his death. Dude, he gets vaporized. And you know what the crazy thing was? I'm pretty sure Tarkin knew he was straight up there.
I'm pretty sure Tarkin doesn't give a single solitary shit either.
Nope. But he just aimed right for his face.
Dude, that was the one dude who would talk down to Vader.
Yeah, good point.
Think about
and speaking of Vader, boom. I love how the Star Destroyer just comes out of hyperspace and just rams into the smaller ships. We've never seen that shit before, and I love it. So, yeah, Darth Vader's pimping out on his Star Destroyer and just busting the shit out of him. And now this moment here where everyone's kind of expecting them to kiss it, I'm glad that they don't.
Yeah, you know what?
I am so okay with that. Because I'm okay with them just hugging. Because they're like, we're about to die and I don't want to die alone. That's a very human thing. Mm-hmm. But they didn't have that connection.
But it doesn't, no.
They're co-workers, dude.
You wanted them to just because that's how you like stories. But,
yep.
You know,
Vader.
If you think about it, if you're sitting there at the end and you just have somebody there... That's way more comfort. Doesn't care who it is, you know?
Yep. If you're sitting there and if World War III happens and your town gets hit by a nuclear blast as these two are about to, and if I was just standing next to my coworker, I'd hug him too.
Right.
Because I don't care. I don't want to die alone like that. So now the entire Rogue Squadron is dead. Scarif has been destroyed, and now we get to, hands down, the best scene in the entire movie. Just when you thought Darth Vader was completely wasted in this whole fucking movie, this happens. We got the damaged, battle-torn rebel spaceship on the brink of destruction from the Empire. Doors jammed.
I don't think
the
the listeners quite understand how much
the dark
I fucking love
the breathing and then this.
Yes.
Yes.
They just bitch slapping those bolts away. He's not even really trying.
Just, God, I thought Darth Vader's gonna kill us all, and then this. He puts him on the ceiling. Yes.
Just walking through people.
Just nope. Gonna take all your blasters. Gonna fuck you up. you think you're gonna do something? Nope. Push your ass aside. Just take it.
He knows he's done. Do the job.
Boom.
Oh
Boom.
my god.
Oh my god. And just Jesus Christ, like that shit is like something straight out of Alien. Oh, and right there, director cameo, the guy who pulls the lever, that's actually Gareth Edwards. Yeah.
Really?
Yes. I'm gonna get to that in a moment, but I just want to like splooge over Vader here for a moment because this shit right here, just watching him get away, and he's just kind of looking at him like, fuck, I'll
also,
get him.
we could talk about his suit there too. Like his suit's a level 1 spacesuit. Like he could stand out in space for a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was actually part of the original concept. But let me talk about that because this moment. Oh my god! When I saw this, I'm like, dude. And then right here, it looks amazing. And then as soon as she looks up, it's not
gone.
Quite right. Yeah,
It's gone.
No.
And now we're good again.
Yep. And I really do love the fact that it was Carrie Fisher who said the final word. Because, as a matter of fact, she died like less than a week after this movie came out. So everyone going to the theater at Rogue One, like there was like a big trend on Facebook for people to come outside of the opening night of Rogue One, and because they all had their lightsabers in hand, everyone would stand outside of the theater holding their lightsabers up in silence.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. So,
oh god, I'd have lost it.
What?
I was not okay for a long time when she passed.
Actually, we also got to mention we've also lost another person of the Star Wars family,
true.
Peter
That's
Mayhew.
true.
I saw a post that broke my heart, and I saw a post that had a picture of Peter Mayhew and his memorial, and it said, "Take care of the princess, Chewie." That hurts me right in the feels, man. But yeah, that, ladies and gentlemen, is Rogue One. So before we get into thoughts, I kind of want to finish up on like a little bit of more stuff there. James Earl Jones is Darth Vader coming back. Yes. So yeah, we were mentioning Darth Vader because, like, as a matter of fact, when the original concept art of Vader came in, Ralph McQuarrie was like, this guy is going to go from one spaceship, they're going to blast a hole in the other spaceship, and he's going to walk on board. He should have some life support. So that's literally the whole reason why Darth Vader has the breathing unit on there. So I guess that was kind of a little nod to be like, yeah, Darth Vader's design is based off the idea that he can just kind of walk straight out in space. So, and that kind of makes sense, you know. I'm actually a little bit more worried about the stormtroopers, you know.
Well, you know, the thing was, Palpatine wanted to make Vader, especially when he had the small chance to literally remake somebody as intimidating, as powerful as you could be as a symbol. Not necessarily in strength, because he never wanted a true rival. But, you know, Vader's job was to be this bodyguard, almost. This symbol of the Empire and its unwavering strength. So you made him hulking. You made him more than human. And
yeah,
oh, did it work?
Oh my God! Never before. I think there's only one other time where I find Darth Vader more intimidating than that hallway scene, and that's right before Luke Skywalker confronts him in the carbon freezing chamber when he's just looming overhead.
I am always reminded of my favorite quote, and it's through the comics of Vader.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Yeah, the rebel forces have Vader surrounded on some desert planet. I believe it's Tatooine, though I'm not sure. And they go, "Stop, you're surrounded." And he says nothing but, "I am surrounded by nothing but fear and dead men." And he
activates his lightsaber. Fuck. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but actually, I think that whole last minute Vader scene, because apparently that was not in the original script. Gareth Edwards was just like,
Yeah, I hear
we
the
had
same
this
thing.
really iconic scene with Darth Vader halfway through, and we just kind of want to see a little bit more of him, but we can't show too much. So what are we gonna do?
with
And
the
he just
Ahsoka
thought of this
section?
idea where he attacks
Yeah.
the rebels just before they get away, and they shot it literally at they did that whole thing was a reshoot tacked on at the last second.
It's amazing.
And it makes makes the movie from
there's
pretty damn good to
there's a
holy
reason
fuck,
that
that is the most
Vader
amazing Star
works.
Wars moment I've ever
And
seen.
if I want to get a little into this just a little bit longer, tragedy
that was
as a story
straight up an Alien or
hits you
Evil Dead,
so hard,
just
all the time.
And I love the
the
part where that
famous
one
plays,
guy's just banging on the door like,
Romeo
"Oh dear
and
God,
Juliet,
open up the door! Darth
Hamlet,
Vader's gonna kill us all."
Just off the top of my head, the worst.
It's just, and you can tell he's
The
just
worst thing you
pissed.
can do is try to fluff
man,
up a
but
comedy
oh yeah,
when you
and then I wanted to mention the little
tragedy,
director
on the other
cameo where
hand,
the
you
guy who
can't
the rebel soldier who
really
flips the
go
switch to
wrong
release
with
the
it. People
the
connect
Tantive
to
4
sadness.
into
People
space.
connect to
Gareth Edwards
damage.
specifically wanted that to be his cameo,
Vader,
because that way,
especially since George
canonically,
Lucas was trying to
or
emulate an epic poem,
chronologically,
modernized.
however you want to say
Vader is the perfect
his
tragic
character actually gets to
every trope in
participate in the very first battle in Episode 4. Yeah, he's like, so now the character that I cameoed as is now canon as a character that is present in the very first Star Wars movie. Like, that is such a bitchin' nerd move right there. Like, fuck, if I'm going to be in this movie, I want to be in the old movies. And I know how to do that.
Passion, Tim, passion.
So, that was really cool. And I also really love how they just perfectly recreated the sets and everything. It was so cool to see again on the big screen. So, but yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to say about that scene, because holy fuck. Holy fuck. What?
Passionate is a word I would use, yes. Yes.
Anyway,
be the gentleman over there.
But
I cherish it.
While you get yourself situated,
Freaking
I'll
love
just
it.
keep talking. But yeah, like after all that,
It has. Hopefully, I get invited
man,
over
this was
again.
A hell of a fun
Hint, hint,
ride.
wink, wink.
So I don't know if there's any final thoughts from your end, because like I said before, this movie to me has been
I'm not sure we
what
get
the
any work
new
done,
generation of Star Wars Battlefront video games.
so.
And if it had a movie adaptation, this is the best example of what it would be. I'm trying to say this is Star Wars Battlefront the movie meets Suicide Squad, and I am beyond happy that that's a thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing that
See
I
everybody.
noticed about this movie when it was over. This is the first movie Star Wars movie where there's not a lightsaber duel. So hope to catch you all next week. May the Force be with you all.
Comtrack is hosted by Tim, Hannah, and me, Martha, and was originally created by Tim Lifehite. If you have any questions or suggestions for a future show, leave us a comment or reach us at comtrack.podcast@gmail.com. Like and subscribe on our YouTube channel and follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter page. This has been an episode of Comtrack where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. Thank you, and good night.